I'm back with another video. Today we're covering the story of a crypto trader from Ukraine who unalived themselves, and we're going to take a grim look at the brutal realities of extreme market volatility. And we are talking about a gentleman. His name is Konstantin, better known as one of the most successful crypto traders in Ukraine. Now his life, he was one of the guys that you'll normally see on social media, like to flash, love a fancy lifestyle. He was just that guy, as you guys all know, right? Now, he was only 32 years old, and he was the face of crypto in Ukraine, and he was also the founder of Cryptology Key Trading Academy, and he was a very big figure within Ukraine. As you guys know, these stories with these guys over here, right? He was basically a digital celebrity who had a massive follower with over 100,000 on Instagram, and by demystifying the wild world of Bitcoin, Ethereum, NFTs, his brand was so successful. Best cars, expensive clothes, the high roller lifestyle that you guys normally are familiar with over here, including a Lamborghini Urus that he was found unalive in there as well. But you already know, with the glamorous life, with the fancy life, the glamorous image masked an immense life-altering pressure, because on October the 11th, following a massive global crypto shutdown that wiped out $18 billion in value, Konstantin was found unalive in his parked Lamborghini in Kiev district. Now, it says here the details that was reported by the police department are very chilling, and it was found that he was found with a weapon and a wound to the head, a firearm that was registered in his name also, and all of this was found. But they have opened a criminal for investigation, and they're categorizing this as a premeditated murder with an additional mark to potentially being suicide. Now, the motive, according to the investigators and the family, appears to be directly tied to a crushing financial loss in the days that led up to his being unalive, right? It says over here that Galitz had reportedly sent farewell messages to relatives expressing his depressed faith and several financial difficulties, and sources suggest that the market crash had liquidated a staggering $30 million of his and his investors' money. Now, this loss wasn't just a personal setback, it was a crisis of trust. As a trading academy CEO who he has managed a lot of people's funds from investors who believe that he was an expert in what he does, and he promised them very high returns. Now, this crash obviously triggered part of an unexpected global economic news like tariffs-like announcements, and this was dubbed as a black swan event that crushed leveraged positions and led to one of the biggest single liquidations, wiping out $18 billion in the crypto market. Now, we all know that this industry strives of high risk, high reward when it comes to your mentality. But what is the human cost of volatility? Now, the last message that was reported by people from Konstantin highlights the crushing psychological burden when your entire net worth and wealth of your community is tied to an unblinking green and red chart. Now, this basically means that he's unaliving himself, should be a stark symbol pushing a necessary discussion about mental healthness and resources when it comes to traders itself, right? As it is for traders. Now, while the police are treating the case as a suspected suicide, they are also probing possible links to extortion on possible business disputes. With tens of millions of investors' funds vanishing overnight, the pressure goes beyond just personal stress, but it also brings terrifying element of anger by people who are looking for their money. Now, desperate individuals seeking redistribution in an industry that operates far outside traditional banking safeguards. Could the suicide have been cover for something darker? Now, the police are thinking that this could potentially be a suicide, or the people that he owed money to could probably be the people who potentially had come to unalive him because they probably threatened that they needed their money on there as well, right? Now, as we know that, the story of this gentleman from Ukraine is more than a crime report, right? It's a powerful, devastating epilogue to the crypto boom. And it reminds us that behind the fancy lifestyle that these influencers portray on social media, there are actually real people dealing with real emotion, real financial emotions, real stress, real pressure from people. And now that his platform is completely silent, his story on based of what he did speaks very high volumes on what is at stake for a person who carries the amount of risk that he did with investors' funds. And this is why it's important. I always tell people that you shouldn't trade with money, number one, that you cannot afford to lose, because this is a similar case to money that you can't afford to lose, because the money that he eventually lost was not his money, but it was the money of the investors. So this was a very, very, very sad story. But we know that there was also 1.6 million traders who had suffered the loss of this massive liquidity sweep in the market. Now, it's very important to understand, guys, when you step into the market, in fact, wherever there's money involved, wherever money is involved, money is this thing. Money is like this powerful thing that can literally destroy us if we don't have it. Not just if we don't have it, but it can literally tear us apart if we are impacted by it in a negative way. Most of you would probably know what it's like to blow an account. You blow an account with your last money. Most of you might know what it's like to you just know what it's like to lose money. It's like losing your job, and you think about your entire income that is gone. How are you going to pay this? How are you going to pay that? And that is why, if you want to learn something today, there's one thing that you can take away from this when it comes to money. Now, we've covered many videos on suicide thoughts, with crypto traders in the world in particular. But one thing you can learn from this is that, money needs to be managed in the best possible way that you can. And these unforeseen circumstances, you also need to be prepared for when they take place. And if you do think that you cannot be prepared, or you cannot lose any money in the market, then the best advice would be to just stay away from it. Don't step into the market trading with money that you cannot afford to lose. Guys, that is it from my side. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Tell me, what do you think about the financial loss alone? Okay, and what do you think was the reason? What do you think the rumors of foul play is also true or not? Thank you for your time. And as always, cheers for the ears.